Hello there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of The Encouraging Word. My name is Paul Bennett, and I am here with Mr. Stephen Young.
Hi, everyone.
And we're both staff members at Rocky River United Methodist Church, and blessed to be so, and blessed by the opportunity to be producing this podcast on a regular basis, and blessed that there's at least somebody out there we think who's listening. So
yes,
we're grateful for our audience, and hope that we continue to bring you some encouragement and some words and some wisdom along the way. So let's dive right in. We have a lot to cover today. We are going to start by sharing our Fit segment, those things in the life of Stephen and I and our families that are funny, interesting, or thought-provoking, or something borderline any of those things. And then we are launching a new series today. We're going to talk a little bit about, I'll go ahead and
we'll
talk it through. What's the word that I can never remember? Apologetics.
Apologetics.
We covered fit. Those three-letter words are doozies.
Right.
So we're covering what is at least something akin to apologetics. Apologetics is a word that I'm not going to attempt a Webster definition of, but essentially it's how we represent and share our faith and present it in a way that is convincing and hopefully meaningful for folks. And the hope is that all of us are looking for opportunities to do so and are gaining those opportunities in our everyday lives. And so we'll have another session a little bit down the way where we'll dig more into how to make that more of a reality, if perhaps it's not the case for you. But we're going to tackle today a question that relates to apologetics and just confront some of the criticism or some of the toughest questions that people pose against Christianity, knocking out one question per episode. So,
Right.
Yep. And,
so I'm going to be looking forward to jumping into the question that we have today. Before we do that, though, we have our Fit segment for something that's funny, interesting, or thought-provoking. And you want me to share mine first? You want to share
please
yours?
do.
Okay.
You always set the table well. So.
So mine for this year is
Wow.
Oh my gosh, this
must be really big.
I know.
Leaning in. I can't wait.
It makes the reason why I say that is because this year for this summer with my kids has been really different than what a typical year has been. As my kids are getting older, my oldest is almost 10, and my youngest just turned 8. So this summer it was really different because they were with their friends all summer. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't last summer it was like me and the kids, and we did a lot of riding bikes, a lot of going to the park, a lot of like doing things together. Mm-hmm. But now this is kind of the first year where my kids are with their own friends, doing things with their friends, and it kind of just leaves me, my wife, and the dog.
All by your lonesome.
Yeah. And my wife is usually doing stuff, so it's just usually me and the dog and playing catch. Me and the dog take turns playing catch. He throws it and I go get it, and then we swap. And it's fun.
That's impressive.
But no, it's serious. It's all just very different because you get a small taste of where you're at right now.
Right.
Like an empty nester. So it's kind of like, this is how it's going to be when the kids are all grown up and they're running around doing their own things in their life and have their friends and community. And so, it was just kind of a very, very small taste. But
before you know it, you will be here. But
I know.
Yeah, for the time being, at least the kids come home in the evening.
Right.
And get some time with them. But I do remember. I mean, every season of parenting comes with its own challenges, and you find joy in new places, maybe that the previous season didn't allow. But also, there's some loss, and there's almost I feel like so often we attach the word grief only to the loss of a loved one, through death, but grieving is part of so many different aspects of life and relationships. We can grieve somebody who's still physically there if there's some distance being created. Yeah. So I didn't mean to bring you down by attaching the G word to it.
I think it's a deep. I think it applies. I think it's good.
For sure.
It's good.
And just to expand more on my official Fit segment piece is that Quinn and I are empty nesters officially now. It's just her and I and the dog. But my dog does not know how to throw things, so even that is not an option for me. But yeah, this has only been a couple of weeks now, and we're settling in okay. Some days are tougher than others. It depends on where your mind's at on any given day, but really, we've been so busy, things haven't slowed down. It makes me wonder, how I had time for kids in the first place. What in the world but yeah, it's another season of life, and then I'm sure as we go on, I'll be able to share with you more of the things that we're doing to fill our time. That no doubt will be part of my fit segments in the future. But yeah, empty nesting, bittersweet.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean the goal is that your kids do eventually leave the house. You don't want them to hang around forever.
Right. Yeah.
So you're on track too. And what I've noticed, well, I don't have kids as old as yours, but what I've noticed with working with youth and just life in general for myself, it's like your kids are out of the house and then they're doing college and all that stuff. But then I feel like after they graduate and stuff, I feel like your relationship and communication almost strengthens as they get older.
Oh,
because now you're able to talk at a deeper level. And I think think of like myself and my parents, it's like you no longer talk like always like father son or mother son. Now you talk almost as peers. Like you're both adults. So like
absolutely,
I think it's interesting, that when you hit that stage, which you're almost there, and it's gonna be very cool.
Yes, there's more yet to come.
Yeah,
we shall see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to jump into what Paul had just talked about. We're apologetics, which is about defending the Christian faith, but also seeing it in the lens of like, sometimes I'll be honest, sometimes I get a little jealous of you, the congregation out there, because you get to work in a secular environment. Like, I typically don't witness to the people at my job. I mean, if I do, then there might be an issue.
Right.
But those listeners who are listening and you work in a secular environment, I think it's a privilege and opportunity to display your faith among people who are not regular churchgoers. So you have an opportunity to practice what is taught and putting the boots to the ground, so to speak. And so what our goal is with this series is when you're sharing your faith, you're going to get questions about, hey, then what about this or what about that people are just naturally going to ask. And also the hope is that as we do this series, it answers questions for yourself that you may have with Christianity. So the goal is with this series is to help answer some of those questions, and also to help answer the questions that you might hear from other people that when I did work secular jobs and people found out I was a Christian, they had all these questions and they wanted to know these things about Scripture and about Jesus and about the Bible. So, yeah. Did you have a similar experience when you were working? What kind of jobs outside the church did you have?
So actually, most of my time before ministry was spent doing pharmacy jobs. I was retail pharmacy for a while, number of years, and then hospital pharmacy for a brief time. So, but yeah, it's. As you mentioned, there is a benefit to working secular jobs in that, of course, you get access to folks who are maybe asking more of these probing questions because they're not there yet. And also, this probably sounds trite to put it this way, but they don't see it coming. People in my neighborhood know, the pastor, the church lives in that house. And, so they move in next door to us, and they're probably taking bets on how long it's going to take for the neighbors to invite us to their church.
You do walk around with your robes and stuff, don't you?
Yes, carry a cross and and spray people down with holy water. I actually try to fly under the radar until I have a more meaningful opportunity with folks.
But, so like I said earlier, I've worked at quite a few different jobs. I've worked a lot of different jobs. So when someone finds out you're a Christian, like it really does open the door. When they find out like you're a serious, like practicing Christian who attends church every day and really has some really great conversations, actually. So what this podcast is, this podcast, we're going to be addressing the question of don't all religions teach the same thing? So when you're beginning to share your faith, one of the common things that you're going to be asked or statements that are going to be said is that all religions are basically the same. So also think about when you're driving, I'm sure everyone has seen, it's a pretty popular bumper sticker on the car that coexist. And the word coexist is put in the different symbols of the religion. So you have Islam, Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, like all those symbols are mashed into this bumper sticker that says coexist. So basically the premise of that bumper sticker is to say, like, you know, all religions are teaching the same thing, or all religions are leading to the same place in a way.
Right.
So what I want to do, or what we want to speak about in this podcast, is to kind of educate that how we see it's not a bad thing. You want tolerance, you want politeness, you want people to coexist in the sense that we want to be able to live in a healthy community. But when it comes to truth statements about each religious faith, there are going to be conflicts in those religious faiths and how they differ. So the statement kind of lacks an understanding of the distinct teachings of each religion. So when you believe that, when all religions are the same, you're kind of feeling that I don't have a good grasp on what each religion means or what each religion is teaching, because there's, as I'll talk about, there's a lot of contradictions within each one.
No, I would hope other religions would feel the same way.
Right.
That's what just crossed my mind. It's not just Christianity, like, we're the ones that are not tolerant. But no, I would hope that their religion would have some very specific parameters to it, in which they would say the same thing. Like, we don't want to be, confused with or thought to be equal to, or.
And I think, without going too far off, but I think America is a unique situation because we have such a diversity of beliefs, where you think of like a predominantly Islamic country or predominantly Hindu or Buddhist country. Like, they probably won't have the bumper stickers say coexist, because it's just not, they don't have that religious diversity that we have, which I think is actually a unique thing about America, to have that religious diversity. You want to have that religious freedom, but at the same time, you want to hold to the truth of your beliefs and also understanding why you believe what you believe, because when you dig into that, you start to see the contradictions. So anyways, as I said in that bumper sticker, a lot of times when it says coexist, it's meaning those major religions of Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, Christianity. So it's usually thinking about those bigger ones, but there's also hundreds of religions around the world that all offer unique beliefs. So the idea of all religions leading to God is simply, like I said earlier, a lack of understanding of what these beliefs are leading to. So many religions, I've heard it shared before that many religions have like superficial similarity. So like love your neighbor, like every religion is going to say that to some degree. Or you'll have don't steal or don't kill. Like every religion is going to have something like that. So like those similarities you're going to find, and those are very like more superficial. Like, of course I should love my neighbor, but when you dig into why do we love our neighbor, that's when you find the parts where the religions are diverging from each other. So what a good way of putting it is that they're superficially similar but fundamentally different. Is that something you...
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think, as we start to process how this plays out with the different religions interacting, I feel like it's really important that we look for opportunities to celebrate the commonalities between the religions. Those, albeit superficial, but we can live in the same communities and even strive towards some of the same goals because we all are looking to love our neighbors and passionately, because it's part of our deepest religious convictions. And there are other common ground pieces as well. But I also feel like sometimes I feel like, especially in today's day and age, we are so ambitiously looking for those commonalities that we never get around to having any meaningful conversations. We're afraid to, because we're afraid to step on each other's toes about the ways that we are not alike. And I feel like as human beings as people of God, we have to rise to the occasion and find a way to have those difficult conversations and acknowledge the differences, but still do so lovingly with our neighbors.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think obviously as a Christian, you want to live in a society that is peaceful and loving and has a tolerance that, like I'm not going to, raid my neighbor's house because they believe something different than me.
Right.
And a matter of fact, I think it gives Christianity the opportunity to stand out among other religions, where it's like, I'm going to serve my neighbor even when they don't agree with me. And I think, or where Christianity says, love your enemy, which I think is very unique to the Christian faith. And to love your enemy, or loving those who even persecute you, like praying for those who persecute you, like that's statements like that, reveal the uniqueness of Christianity and show, and kind of creates that why we believe what we believe. We might superficially say we need to love everyone, but then Christianity goes a little bit deeper and says, no, we need to love our enemies as well. And I think often Christianity gets criticized for exclusivity, about the verse, Jesus is the only way, the truth, and the life. The only one, only through Christ can we come to the Father. In Christianity, it's a bad rap for exclusivity. But in all honesty, every religion is creating barriers or definitions of what that religion means.
Of course.
And in order to create those definitions, you're going to be excluding someone. It's just the nature of any sort of belief system, right? Like, if you're going to believe certain things, you have to create a sense of like a barrier of what that religion means. You got to create definitions, and those definitions are going to exclude people. But Christianity is the one that gets the bad rap for that.
It does. And I guess the way I vision it is, God is not an idea. God is like, we have to, at least within Christianity, and I believe other religions for the most part would agree, that God is an actual unique person or entity in this in this world that exists. And so there are some specific parameters around his character, his abilities, his all of these things. And I think by blurring the lines and assuming that we're all worshiping the same God, or we're all arriving at the same conclusions, by different roads. I think you're ignoring the fact that God is a actual unique and living entity, and not just this idea like we blur it with love. We all agree with love. We're all striving. We're arriving at love in different ways, but we're all loving. We're all loving our God. But I think if you read the Bible, there are some very unique qualities that the one and only God has, Old Testament on into New, in the character of Jesus. And we have to allow him to be defined in that unique, in those specific ways. And I think we do him disservice by pretending that somehow all of these gods that we refer to are somehow the same.
And even love, you have to qualify what I would say scriptural love is very different, than our basic understanding of love in our culture. When you dig into the faith, you start to see like these common words that these faiths share. When you dig into the roots of those common words, they are leading and pointing to different things and different definitions. So what I wanted to point out too, let's wrap this up, is that some of the core differences between the religions. So like this is just surface level, but I really challenge anyone. This is also too, like you think of like AI, like type this into ChatGPT or any AI thing and say, hey, what are the difference between religions? And it's going to give out a whole list of really all these differences in these religions that appear, and there's many of them. But this is a surface level. So Christianity believes Jesus died on the cross, and then Islam doesn't believe Jesus died on the cross. Judaism is awaiting the Messiah, while Christianity believes that the Messiah has come. Hinduism believe in many different gods, and Christianity, Judaism, and Islam don't believe in many gods. Buddhism focuses more on the path of enlightenment, and there's no real God central figure. And obviously that contradicts the other religions. So one thing I tell the students a lot in youth ministry is that what you believe really does affect how you live, right? So like if someone believes that there is a God who created the universe, who created the world, who created you, a God of love, a God of purpose, when someone's living that path of life, is going to look different from someone who, which I didn't even mention here, like an atheist person who doesn't believe in a God or a loving universe or created with a purpose. Like that path of life is going to look very different than the path of a life of someone who does believe in a God who loves them and who died on the cross for them, right? So each one of these religions, these beliefs, like Christianity believes that the Messiah has come, and Jews don't. So that's one of the differences in how they, like we as Christians are worshiping Christ and Jews aren't, because they don't believe he's the Messiah. Or Buddhism has a very distinct path of life that you need to follow for enlightenment. That's going to look different than a Christian's way of life that has a distinct path for how Jesus taught how to live that differs from in a path of enlightenment in Buddhism. So as I said earlier, they're superficially the same, but when you start to dig into the roots of these faiths, they're leading into two different directions and two different ways of thoughts and things that you desire and things that how you live and perceive your life is going to be different based on these beliefs that you hold. So again, going back to the beginning, like, yes, we want to coexist in the sense of like, we want to live in a society that's safe and functional and healthy and showing love and kindness and respect towards other people. But at the same time, I think we can just stand for the distinctness, truths of Christian belief without, and sharing that in a way that's loving and kind and generous and sharing it in a way that you stand on the truth that you believe, but you're not going to, show it in a way that's harmful to someone else.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of double down on that notion that, and I attribute it a lot to the uplifting of individualism in our society, and this goes back decades. But I think there's many beautiful, wonderful things that come from uplifting the individual, and along with that, the idea that people are unique and they should be able to claim their unique qualities, and they have differing beliefs, and people should have the rights and the freedom to follow different paths in life and claim different beliefs. But we can encourage that mindset and that way of going about things in society, but at the same time acknowledge that that doesn't mean that all are equally, I don't know, valid isn't the right word, but equally correct or right in God's eyes. And it's okay to say that, and still love people at the same time and grant them that freedom.
And I believe we can stand on a truth. Like as Christians, I know it takes faith to do this, but to stand on the truth of Christianity, like I believe Christianity is true, which when you say that, you're saying you believe that other religions are false. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter. And I believe, like, I truly believe in the truth of Christianity, and that can sound harsh, and people can be offended by that. But in reality, as I said earlier, every religion is holding, like a true follower of that religion is holding that their religion is true too. So like and that's fine. And my stance as a Christian is like, I'm going to hold to the belief that this is true, while also treating people with like, if this faith is true, that means I got to love my enemy. That means I got to be someone who's generous, someone's giving. Like, I got to follow the path of Christ if I truly believe this is true. So it leads to a Christian who's very strong in their belief leads to a lifestyle of kindness and giving grace and grace, and forgiveness and mercy. That's the path that it leads to.
Building on the acknowledgement that me loving my neighbor is not dependent on me agreeing with them on everything or
100%.
condoning all of their actions.
100%.
All right, so we have a more of a fun, lighthearted segment to round things out with. You want to throw out?
So a question here. So we've been ending these podcasts with like something that's fun, whimsical, but also a little bit. Gives it a little bit of serious talk, a little bit gets the audience to know us a little bit better. So the question for this one is, what is the most irrational pet peeve? So I know this question is kind of I just think the word irrational makes this question kind of weird. But really, what's the most irritating pet peeve that you may have? And mine is. With my kids around, I feel like I don't want to pick on them, but I feel like they have the pet peeves, the most that come up when I think about it.
Oh, of course.
My youngest will occasionally chew really loud, which when you put that together with her, she has a different spatial, I know for myself, especially when I'm eating, I need a little bit of elbow room. I need some space. When I'm eating, I'm going like this. if you see it.
Chicken wings?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. and she's like right in my personal space while chewing loudly, like that for me is like the fingers on a chalk belt, like that. Right. Just like, oh, you gotta, like, I need some space.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of my pet peeves. And then, you know, sometimes, yeah, I mean, we'll leave it at that, because I'm sure now when I think about it, maybe I'm a jerk. Maybe I just have too many pet peeves, and I need to, like, just calm down a little bit.
Well, if our kids are fair game, then I think all of us have kids could probably rattle off 100 of them.
And I'm sure they have pet peeves if I don't know if they understand the word, but they're sure there's things that me as a parent that I do, or my wife would point out a million of them. So
there you go. Yeah, it's best not to ask.
Yeah, exactly.
I try to give some thought to this, especially the irrational piece, because I appreciate where they're trying to go with this question, whoever it is that came up with it. It wasn't us, but the idea that something would bother you and really get under your skin that shouldn't. So, and there's plenty of things that probably do that should. But for me, the one that stood out to me, and if this describes you, I still love you, and I promise I don't hold it against you. I completely understand. But I do not like it when people wear those pants that are not pants, or those shorts that are, like, not really shorts.
Yeah.
They're called capris.
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah.
And it's like they walk in and I don't know what they're wearing, but it's like they thought it was going to be hot but not too hot, and cool but not too cool, or maybe they just like the end of their pant leg coming just below the knee for some reason, like they like the feel of it falling right there, that seam right there on the upper calf. But to me, it just, for some reason, it rattles me. It's like it makes no sense to me. And I just want to, like, walk up and take a pair of scissors and just cut off
a
foot of the bottom of the capri legs.
Right.
So there you go.
I think I can understand it. Maybe. See, I think that's the word irrational. Like, I think there's a rational. I think there could be a rational reason for capris, because they, especially in the weather right now, we're in the transition between summer and fall. So, like, it always starts off really cold in the mornings. So then when it's warmer, you're already ready for that, because you don't have full pants on. You have half pant things.
Well, I guess the reality is you would always be somewhat uncomfortable, but never be terribly uncomfortable.
Right,
in the morning, if it's cold, you're going to be a little warm. And then later in the day when it warms up, you're going to be a little hot. Wait,
you didn't say that right.
In the morning, you're going to be cold.
Leave it slightly cold, And later, you'll be warmer,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is some reason, there is some logic to that.
But it's still totally illogical. Right. I mean, just make up your mind, for crying out loud.
The other thing I think about, too, is going back to our days as youth, and I remember I used to have basketball shorts that were basically capris. Like, I mean, they went way past the knee, and you're like, and I thought I was the coolest thing since sliced bread. Is that what the kids say nowadays?
Yeah. No, definitely not nowadays, but that is what kids in the 50s said. Yeah, very good.
So, I mean, when I look back at my shorts back in the day, I'm like, oh, wow, those are really long.
They're not really shorts,
Yeah, they're not.
But all the cool kids were doing it. I had them too. Yeah, and then if you were smart, you would, like, tie the knot in them, because if not, you would have them drooping too.
Also,
and then things would get really weird.
Also, I remember my jeans were super long to the point where, like, they were, like, getting wet, because every time it rained, my jeans were, like, way past my shoes, and like they'd be getting wet. It was just like, this is gross.
I remember cutting slits in the side of my jean legs at the bottom, so that they would fall lower, right? Instead of bunching up at the bottom, I wanted them to, like, drag on the ground, and I remember having a couple of pairs of pants where I'd start the slit, and then within a month it would just keep getting caught on things, and it would rip higher and higher. And pretty soon I had jeans that had, like, a flap on the front and a flap on the back. So
that's hilarious.
The things we do for style,
I know,
which capris. That's probably a different scenario.
Yeah, that's really funny. All right, well, thank you all for listening, and we're excited about this series coming up and all the things that we have planned.